Welcome to the first episode of Ink It Up with Jessica TV. Today I'm going to show you how to make this with sympathy card that has a couple fun techniques for adding a little bit of texture to your card. It's making the cardstock a little bit fuzzy. So I'm going to start with this elegant eggplant cardstock. It's 3 7/8 inch by 5 1/8 inch, and I'm going to emboss it with the Beautifully Baroque embossing folder. I don't want to emboss the top part, so I'm just going to put it partially into my embossing folder. Line it up, and then I'm going to put this in between two clear cutting pads, and I'm going to put it on top of my multi-purpose platform with both of my tabs open. This might depend on how tight your Big Shot machine is. You might have to leave one tab closed. We're going to go ahead and run that through the Big Shot. Once your cardstock is embossed, we're going to rough it up with some sandpaper to get this fuzzy texture. I have a sanding block from Stampin' Up. You can use any kind of sandpaper or sanding block, and you're just going to rub it across the embossed portion of your cardstock. You want to do the side that is bold versus the side of embossing that's real detailed. Once your paper is as fuzzy as you want it, you're going to have a little bit of cleanup because you'll notice that the paper leaves all this little dust. Go ahead and clean that up and we'll move on to the next part of the card. The next piece on the card is this Wisteria Wonder cardstock, and I used this because I didn't have any matching ribbon that I liked. So I took a 1/2 inch strip of Wisteria Wonder cardstock. It's a little bit longer, and I used my bone folder and just worked it back and forth. This is going to separate the fibers of your paper, and you'll notice that on the end it's starting to split into two pieces. I'm just going to pull this apart, and this is going to give me another fuzzy look. I'll put just some snail adhesive on the back of this and tape it down to the front of my card to cover up this seam that I have between the embossed part and the not embossed part. That piece that goes over the edges, I'm just going to flip that over and trim that off of both ends. Then this piece will go on a card front. I have a sheet of crumb cake cardstock that is 4 1/4 inches by 11 inches. It's just an 8 1/2 by 11 inch sheet of paper cut in half. I'm going to go ahead and fold that. I have it pre-scored at 5 1/2 inches. Otherwise, you can just fold it in half and give it a nice crease with your bone folder. I'll go ahead and tape this piece on to the front of that card. I always use extra adhesive when I'm dealing with embossed cardstock so that I know that it's going to stick. Go ahead and put that on the front of our card. And finally, we'll do this main with sympathy image. I stamped that on some very vanilla cardstock using Elegant Eggplant ink. And this is a stamp from the 4 frames stamp set. I'm going to go ahead and ink that up. Make sure that you don't have any extra ink in the middle of this stamp. And then go ahead and stamp that on my very vanilla. Next, I'm going to stamp the With Sympathy greeting, and this is a stamp from Teeny Tiny Wishes. I'm going to use my Stamp-A-Majig to make sure that I get this right in the spot that I want it. So just make sure your plastic sheet is right in the corner of your Stamp-A-Majig T. Then you're going to line up the plastic sheet stamp, put that back on the corner, move that out of the way, and stamp with your stamp in the corner. And you're going to get your image right where you want it. Next, I'm going to color in this image, and to do that I'm going to use my ink pad and a blender pen. You want to just squeeze your ink pad together when it's closed so that when you open it you'll see that there's this ink pooled, and we're going to go ahead and use that with a blender pen to color. Because I stamped in Elegant Eggplant ink, this is not a permanent ink, so it will smear if I really rub like that. So I'm just going to kind of dab my color on. I'm going to dab the Elegant Eggplant lightly over the flowers. Just re-ink as necessary. When you're done with the color, you're just going to take a sheet of scratch paper and run your blender pen until it's clear. Then you can go ahead on to the next color. I'm going to use Old Olive ink. You can just pick that up. And it's even more important with the leaves that you're just dabbing that color on so that you're not smearing your eggplant. Once you're done coloring in your image, I'm going to punch that out with the decorative label punch. I'm going to turn my punch upside down so that I can line it up right around the image. And then just punch it out. To put this on the front of my card, I'm going to add some Stampin' Dimensionals. It's just going to pop it up a little more. And I'll center that right on my card front. If you'd like to decorate the inside of your cards as well, on this one I took a stamp from the Love and Sympathy stamp set and just stamped that greeting on the inside with Elegant Eggplant.